morning, Birmingham. Today is September 27th, 2022. The time is 9:33. I call to order the regular meeting of the Council of the City of Birmingham. Today we'll have invocation by Pastor Doug Taylor of Rebirth Christian Fellowship, and Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilor Carol Clark. If you can, please stand and join us.
Amen. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, today we just love you and praise you. Thank you for this opportunity you've given us to gather together. You said where two or three be gathered together in your name, you be in the midst. So we thank you for being here today, Father. God, we're grateful that you said in your word that where the righteous and authority of the people will rejoice. Thank you for this righteous city council. Thank you for these righteous leaders that have chosen to invite you to this place and to this time. And so, Father, we just praise you in advance, Father, for the rejoicing of our city. Father, I pray today that the spirit of wisdom and counsel, understanding will flow today. You said that the mind of the righteous is blessed. So we expect today that we'll experience wisdom, clarity, focus, and unity as we commit to gather together to perform objectives and agenda for the well-being of these citizens. We praise you for their health, their well-being, for their lives, and for all that they'll do, and for you blessing them, for offering themselves to others. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll. And we thank you, Pastor Taylor, for those words. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Abbott.
Present.
Councilmember Clark.
Present.
Councilmember Moore. Councilmember O'Quinn.
Good morning.
Good morning. Councilmember Tate.
Good morning.
Good morning. Councilmember Williams.
Good morning.
Good morning. Councilmember Woods. Council President Pro Tem Smitherman. Good morning. Good morning. And Council President Alexander.
Good morning. Thank you very much. The minutes are not ready for May 17th, 2022 through September 20th, 2022. Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning, Madam President. Good morning to the council.
Good morning.
Good morning to the public. Good to see everybody. Madam President, I'll be very brief this morning. And council. Page Pals. I think everybody knows what Page Pals is now. I'm standing before you for a rallying cry. We need more volunteers. Volunteers are needed for Page Pals Reading Initiative. As you know, Page Pals was created in partnership with the Birmingham City Schools to increase the reading proficiency for elementary school students, especially for the K through 3rd level. Volunteers simply come to a designated school during library time and read a book to a group of grateful children. It only takes about 30 minutes. And so, again, I want to encourage people to sign up. And you can sign up to be a Page Pals volunteer at birminghamal.gov/pagepals. Again, that's birminghamal.gov/pagepals. This Saturday night, Madam President, that's October 1st, Birmingham Southern College will host the City of Birmingham Employee Appreciation Day during its 6 p.m. football game. The Panthers will battle the Berry College Vikings at the General Krulak Stadium on campus. City of Birmingham employees who show their work ID badge at the gate will receive free entrance. All city employees attending the game will also be entered into a drawing connected to the Ross Bridge Resort and a little me time. That concludes the mayor's report, Madam President. Short and sweet.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. We appreciate that. At this time, Madam Clerk, if you would read the items that are considered for consent.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
The consent agenda begins on page 2 with items 1, 2, and 3. Then we go over to page 20 with items 4, 5, and 6. Page 21, items 7, 8, and 9. Page 22, items 10, 11, and 12. Page 23, items 13, 14, 15, and 16. Page 24, items 17, 18, and 19. Page 25, items 20, 21, 22, and 23. And please, on item number 21, there was a misspelling. The name should be Ann M. Cambanis, Cabanis, Charitable Trust. On page 26, items 24, 25, and 27. Page 27, items 28, 29. Please note that item 30 has been requested to be removed from the consent agenda. Page 28, items 31, 32, 33. Page 29, items 34 and 36. 35 has been requested to be removed from the consent agenda. Page 30, items 37, 38, 39. Page 31, items 40, 41, 42, and 43. Page 32, items 44, 45, and 46. Page 33, items 47, 48, 49, and 50. And that completes the consent agenda. Please note that there is an addendum item.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any other items, councilors, that you would like to have added or removed from the consent agenda? Councilor Woods? I'd like to request to remove item 22 on page 25 from consent. Other items, councilors, I'd like to add?
Madam President, can we add item 53 to consent?
There's a request to add item 53 to consent. Addendum item 53. All right. All right, councilors. All items designated as consent are routine and non-controversial and will be approved by one motion. No separate discussion of these items will be permitted unless a council member, the mayor, or citizen interested in a public hearing so requests. If so, such items will revert to its normal place on the agenda order of business. All matters of permanent operation, they're indicated with a P, will be read. All other matters will be announced by reading the item number only. All public hearings will be announced. Councilors, can I entertain a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda?
I move approval.
Okay, the vote has started. Councilor Clark. Okay, the vote should be, everyone voted for.
Okay,
Aye.
didn't see the results.
Okay, everyone voted out. I'm sorry, it's not coming up on the screen for some reason.
Okay, thank you. For the record, the clerk says that everyone did vote, so those items do pass. anyone in the audience who is here for an item that was listed as consent, those items have been approved, and we hope you have a great day, and we'll continue with the rest of our agenda.
Okay, the next item will be item number 22, which is on page 25. An ordinance to further amend the Neighborhood Allocations Fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023 by transferring $6,684.50 from Echo Highlands Neighborhood Association and appropriating $6,684.50 to Department of Transportation R&M Infrastructure Street and Traffic Signs, that is, speed cushions, for traffic calming efforts.
All right, Counselor, can I get a motion and a second?
Second.
All right, Counselor Woods.
All right, thank you, Madam President. Just really wanted to highlight Echo Highlands neighborhood. I think this is an area where they really led the way in creating a system to add traffic safety elements to their area, bringing those items to the neighborhood, putting them up for a vote, letting the neighborhood decide, and then participating in the funding. I think that's something that I've worked to kind of get that in all my neighborhoods, but they do all the legwork. They go out and talk to the neighbors to get the support for it. So just really wanted to highlight them as being probably one of the better models to move the traffic safety stuff forward. And they've seen that kind of result in their area with actually getting them from idea to installation. So just wanted to highlight them and celebrate them for kind of doing what I see as the best possible way to do it. So, thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that you acknowledging this particular neighborhood. I know all of us are often tasked with our neighborhoods wanting to be sure that they're safe as far as safety regarding speed and how we manage that. So I would love to just really work with that neighborhood to see how we can bring that to each of our neighborhoods if they've got a consistent system. So we'd like to ask your office if maybe we could even bring them for a committee of the whole or just try to get some idea of how they do that, working with the Department of Transportation. Thank you very much. Any other conversation about this item? And this is item number 22. All right, councilors, we're ready to entertain the vote.
The vote has started. Councilor Clark and Councilor Clark. Yes. Okay. Please note the vote was unanimous. Okay.
Okay. Councilors, just for the record, I want to be sure, Madam Clerk, I wonder if we need to entertain a roll call because we're just taking we don't see the results of the vote and we don't know how everyone's voted.
Yes, ma'am, it's my pleasure. We'll do it that way.
Thank you. And let me ask, Madam Administrator, do we know if this will be fixed or is there just a glitch? Okay. Thank you. Go ahead, Madam Clerk. Thank you.
Okay, for the record, Councilmember Abbott.
Aye.
Councilmember Clark.
Aye.
Councilmember Moore.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Quinn.
Aye.
Councilmember Tate. Aye. Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Woods.
Aye.
Council President Pro Tem Smitherman.
Aye.
And Council President Alexander.
Aye. All right, thank you. Councilors, that item passes. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Okay,
Thank you.
next item is item number 26. It's on page 26. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute an amendment to agreement between the City of Birmingham and Oak Hill Memorial Association dated September 1st, 2021, and approved by ordinance number 21-127 to provide an additional amount of $20,000 to assist with unanticipated repairs to the perimeter walls and gate of Oak Hill Cemetery, increasing the funding under the agreement for the FY 2022 to 2023 term only to an amount not to exceed $181,297. This is an item of permanent operation, so we need unanimous consent first to take it up. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Now we need a motion on the item.
All right, thank you, councilors. This is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute an amendment to an agreement between the City of Birmingham and Oak Hill Memorial Association.
Chiefs, can y'all tell us about this item?
Madam President, I think the item is self-explanatory. It's just we're increasing the funding of Oak Hill Cemetery just for some unanticipated costs related to their operations.
Councilors, do you have any questions? Councilor Abbott?
Yeah, I do have a question. I drive past Oak Hill every day, and I noticed that the structure on the corner apparently caught on fire. Who's going to demolish that? Will that be the City of Birmingham, or will that be the Oak Hill Association?
So I think Mr. Stewart Oates is here, but I think we are working with him on trying to find a solution to that particular unit.
Yeah, because it does not look repairable. So that's all. I just wondered if that was going to get done anytime soon.
Are there any other councilors that have questions about this item? Okay, Madam Clerk, we're ready for the vote.
Okay. Councilmember Abbott.
Aye.
Councilmember Clark.
Aye.
Councilmember Moore.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Quinn.
Aye.
Councilmember Tate. Aye. Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Woods. Aye. President Pro Tem Smitherman.
Aye.
And Council President Alexander.
Aye, that item passes. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Okay, the next item is on page 27. It's item number 30. And item number 30 is a resolution approving and authorizing the mayor to execute for and as the act of said city an agreement for consulting services between the City of Birmingham, the Birmingham Board of Education, and IMC Financial Consulting, LLC, under which the Birmingham Board of Education and IMC Financial Consulting, LLC, will implement a financial literacy initiative called the Financial Freedom Project to provide financial literacy and financial education to Birmingham City Schools for an amount not to exceed $1 million for a term of 1 year.
Councilors, can we entertain a motion and a second so we can discuss this item?
So moved.
Second.
All right, thank you, Dr. O'Quinn. You pulled this item, and I know we do have, the mayor is passing out some information regarding it, and we have some visitors.
Yeah, so I think this is a great idea and much needed. I know I managed to get through high school without being taught any of this stuff, you know, and my parents were probably like most parents who didn't want to talk about, you know, financial matters with their kids, even though it's a pretty important life skill. So I don't know where they expected, you know, us to learn this stuff, but I feel like, you know, my experience is pretty similar to a lot of folks. So, you know, I do feel like, have felt for a long time that this is, financial literacy is something that should be taught in our schools. My questions are really related to our previous initiative with Birmingham City Schools related to mental health. Is that going to stay in place, or is this now taking the place of that?
Mr. Mayor, we'll let you go ahead and give us information about this
Yes, ma'am.
project, as well as entertain Councilor O'Quinn's questions.
Absolutely. Good morning, Madam President and Council. As I first address, Madam President, as I first address Dr. Darrell O'Quinn's question which will be a very brief answer. Yes. I also want to call up Dr. Mark Sullivan, Superintendent of Birmingham City Schools, and all of his guests. Also want to call up Isaac Cooper, CEO of IMC Financial Consulting, Tanya Van Court, founder of Goldsetter, and Galvin Phillips, Director of Department of Youth Services for the City of Birmingham. Dr. O'Quinn, yes, that is a whole separate thing we're doing. Again, a toolbox, various tools in this toolbox to support our children. Mental health services is one of those. This is a new tool, a separate tool related to financial literacy that should come before this body, of course, through your committee process that you all have already approved from the July 1 budget, hopefully within the next 30, max 45 days. So the answer is yes.
Okay.
Related to financial freedom, I want to pick up, Dr. O'Quinn, where you left off. My mom didn't teach me either, right? I'm not sure how many parents taught us. I will say this, in front of all of our supporters and guests here, I am very thrilled to announce that today we're giving our Birmingham City School students a gift, something you and I didn't necessarily have, right? Which is the knowledge about financial freedom. Just again, going deeper on Dr. O'Quinn's point, as a young student, like many of you all probably, I was taught math, I was taught reading, English, social studies, science. But I was not taught about financial literacy. No one taught me. It was something, unfortunately, that I had to acquire on my own. But the question begs, Dr. O'Quinn, to you, since you said it out loud, but probably to all 10 of us, how much more empowered could I have been as an adult if I had financial tools early? Or how much more empowered could any of us have been? I think every adult you see standing flanked behind me wants better for our children. I know you all want better for our children. And as an administration and as a city council, we plan to be intentional about creating a platform around financial literacy so that we're making a long-term investment in something that's important to us, which is the next generation. So today, this investment is $1 million in partnership with IMC Financial Consulting, Goldsetter, and the Birmingham City School Systems on what we're calling the BHM Financial Freedom Project. Madam President and Council, to give you all go a little deeper before any of our guests come up and share a little bit more detail. Participating children will gain lifelong financial skills. They'll also receive coaching. And the cool part, they'll be able to create their own stock portfolio. But I like if there is a football analogy, I like the mechanics and the blocking and tackling of financial literacy and financial freedom. What is that? Budget, saving, importance of credit. I go on and on. Those fundamentals that some of us, even as adults, are still getting used to. Gaining financial literacy would be a game changer, though, right, for our students. We believe they'll become the future of their households. They'll be future teachers, business leaders, and they'll even seat in the seats we're sitting in right now. But we want to teach them really about saving. We want them to understand the importance of debt and how to manage it. Hopefully they don't have to have any. And then they become on a path towards financial freedom at a very early age, which we know some of them today, right now, what's more important for some of them than classroom is helping take care of home. They're using their hands, and some of them even have jobs. Just a note for us as adults, according to a comprehensive citywide assessment, the average credit score for Birmingham residents today is 597. So let that number soak in for a second. 597. That is 78 points lower than the national average. In addition, nearly half of Birmingham residents deal with delinquent debt. And so I hope today's investment will help end that cycle and create financial freedom for all. But I will tell you this, probably minus one city council district, Madam President and Council, probably minus one city council district. All of your districts are proliferated with predatory lending, cash checking places. It is my desire to put them out of business. I think the way we can do that is making the long-term investments in the next generation so that when they become adults, they don't necessarily use these places. There are a lot more guests here I want to speak, Madam President, and I think we'll start with our Superintendent of Birmingham City Schools, Dr. Mark Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Madam President, members of the council. Dr. Quinn, on a personal note, I remember graduating from college, and one of the things that we got in addition to our diploma was a line of people trying to get us to sign up for credit cards. You know, without having the knowledge of what a 25% interest rate could really do to you, you know, a lot of people got into a lot of trouble. And I think that one of the things that we're trying to do is ensure that our children have the skills and the knowledge in order to navigate through this financial maze. But as superintendent of Birmingham City Schools, I'm excited about this financial freedom partnership and the impact it will have on our students. And we have the principals of the schools that are participating here. The goal is that every student in Birmingham City Schools will be successful, and that we will manage, and that they will manage their personal resources and their finances so that they and their families can better manage and better be able to navigate through this financial, I want to call it a jungle. But this program helps us. It helps our students, and it's a pilot that we can move beyond just, you know, talking to students about balancing credit cards, their checkbooks, but also about how they balance their finances, how they understand the difference between what a 2% interest rate does to a 30-year mortgage than a 4% or a 5%. And many of our students, and sometimes many of our parents, don't understand that. The mayor just mentioned around predatory lending. I remember as a principal where parents would have to go to what they call check cashing places rather than banks. And we need to inform our parents, we need to inform our students that there's a better way that they can build wealth and they can have financial security. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Oh, Mr. Mayor, can I make one more comment tied to your highlights? The Page Pals program, if you have not signed up for the Page Pals program, please do so. It is really beneficial. We have seen some significant gains in third grade reading. We saw a 9% increase over the previous year, mostly due to the work that our teachers do in the classroom, but it also is due to the commitment that our community has around literacy. And this is a wonderful way for community members to get involved and give back to a student. You know, I cannot tell you how many times as a principal I have had conversations with parents who have never heard their child read. Imagine what that does in a household around the importance of reading when you don't see your parents reading, they don't read to you, and you don't read to them. But if we have a caring adult who reads to a child 15 minutes a day, it makes a difference. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had to put a PSA in for you.
Shout out to our superintendent for giving us important plugs. Please keep them coming, sir. Seriously. The key word, Madam President and Council, is pilot. Superintendent said it, so don't go beat me up. This will eventually get to all schools, pilot, but we have to start somewhere, and we have to make sure that we can level up. With that, I would like Isaac Cooper, a person who has given so much to this community, and a person I treat and feel like an actual brother, who's been very beneficial in helping us build out this curriculum for our students. I would like Isaac Cooper of IMC Financial to come up, please.
All right, well, good morning.
Good morning.
Just as I mentioned during the Budget and Finance meeting, typically I'm up here representing the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute, so it feels good to be an extension of civil rights. It's just in the form of finances. So the packet that you have in front of you gives you really an overview of the Financial Freedom Project and to really give some background on how we got here. So when we think about financial literacy and financial wellness, typically the youth is the focus for any type of proactive results, right? As adults, we all heard different examples of decisions that we had to make, and we paid for it on the back end by not having the information. That's a little bit more reactive, right? So when we looked at this project, we said, what type of environment do we need to create to make sure that what we sow into these students isn't uprooted either in the classroom or once they leave the classroom? And that's why we wanted to make sure that there were 2 additional stakeholders in place. As we were communicating with the mayor and as well with the superintendent and their team, we wanted to make sure that The faculty and staff had resources, as well as the parents and caretakers, right? The information that we need to provide within the school, the rigor that's going to be required at each different level, we'll be able to get that infrastructure in place. But what we needed to lay out is like, what is the equation to ensure that, again, once these students get home and they learn about the rule of 72 and they have a conversation with their mother about it, how can we empower the mother to engage and not discount any information that wasn't presented to them? Even with providing the instruction inside the school, how can we empower the teachers? Because again, teaching finances is more so off of an experience. You can go through any type of curriculum you want as an educator, but until you have an experience with your money, with a professional that you can trust, it is very difficult to convey that concept or that key term in a way in which that student can hear it, because you're still shackled with the shame of not knowing the information yourself. And so if we quickly walk through the documents that's in front of you, as you can see here, and there's a theme that you'll hear me speak to, is that the education is going to be robust, culturally relevant. Excited to share a little bit more about our partner in this goal setter, and which she'll be able to explain the firepower that we're bringing with this, but as well as the equipment, right? And so just like teaching you to play baseball, but we're going to give you a baseball and a baseball bat and a mitt so you can essentially learn how to play. So starting out, the students and the parents, as well as faculty and staff, they'll have saving and investment accounts, and then as well stock will be donated. And so if you quickly peruse through on the second page, you'll see students. So one of our target audience, and so the in-person instruction to alleviate and also to provide additional support for the Birmingham City School teachers will be facilitated by our team, and then as well there's volunteer opportunities. So we've been able to speak with different financial institutions across the city to be able to deploy some of their employees in the classroom, but based off of our training. Because just because they're available doesn't mean they're going to be in the classroom. Our training is very intentional to make sure that they can connect with the students, right? Because if they don't connect with the students, you pretty much sow a seed on concrete. Topics covered, as you can see there, from financial psychology when it pertains to your emotions and money, all the way down to investment, debt, taxes, and also being able to read a paycheck, right? What's the difference between gross and net? I remember when I first started getting paid, $8 an hour, I said, all right, that was 12 hours, I should get $96, right? And so then you learn about FICA and taxes and all these things. And so we'll be able to get to the macro of these different topics, but also the application of these topics based off of the grade in which they're in. And then a goal setter app, right? So even when they leave the classroom, how can we equip them with technology that they're already participating in? These kids are getting their financial advice on TikTok these days, right? And so how can we empower them and equip them with the type of information, but also the technology that will fit their palate in regards to the way in which they engage information and receive information, but also complement what they're receiving in the classroom, and then as well have some type of family dynamic with it. As I mentioned, Tanya will be able to speak to the goal setter deliverables, but as you can see, those bullet points are some of the immediate takeaways. The faculty and staff. So the faculty and staff will have access to 24 workshops, 12 workshops, in which one of our partners aligned with Goal Center in regards of Anthony Anderson to speak to the 12 Secrets of Wealth. So we got 12 Secrets of Wealth that Anthony Anderson, the star of Blackish, was able to film specifically for this project. And then we'll be able to get into a 60-minute presentation, 30 minutes of a Q&A. Again, all faculty and staff, this is across the district. So all faculty and staff across this district will have access to those financial workshops, as well the financial seminars. And so district-wide, what we would like to do once a semester, this will be for the faculty and the staff and the parents and caretakers. How can we do a one-day event, include all the organizations and the institutions that provide resources for these entities? If it's diaper assistance, if it's rent assistance, if it's food assistance, because ultimately there's data that we will be able to extract from this program to give us some long-term implications, but also how to make sure that we're covering our most important asset, which is the community that these students live in. And so another way in which we'll be able to provide a value add. And then another elements I'm most excited about is the one-on-one financial consulting sessions. Unfortunately, income dictates your ability to speak with a professional. And one thing we know for sure is that just because you don't make $100,000 a year doesn't mean you don't care about your family. And so we wanted to make sure that we provided a way for these teachers to be able to get proximate with their finances, but also speak to a professional. So we have credentialed individuals, CFP, CFAs, all across the city, as well across, across the Southeast, that's been able to sign up and volunteer and say, I want to be able to support in that manner, but give guidance for those teachers in that space. Same as well for the parents and caretakers. So if you flip the page over, you'll see a bit of a repetitive information on those deliverables. And the second document you'll see is an overview of the different topics that we'll cover for 4th grade, middle school content, and then of course 12th grade. So I'll stop there. My mouth is getting a bit dry. I feel like I've been a bit long-winded. And then the third document is an FAQ for you to review if there's any additional questions. And so in the meantime, what I would love to do is bring up Ms. Tanya Vancourt, our partner in this initiative, to speak to the not only the vision of Goal Setter, but also the deliverables we'll be able to provide as a unit.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for having me here today. I just want to start by saying I originally hail from Oakland, California. I currently hail from Brooklyn, New York. And I will tell you that the folks in Oakland and the folks in Brooklyn right now, because we're having conversations with both, are all talking about the Birmingham Financial Freedom Project. So financial education is on the mouths of people all across this country, but the folks in Birmingham are the ones who have taken the leadership in doing something significant about this problem for Birmingham kids. And when I see the significance of what you're doing in working with the mayor and with IMC Consulting, the significance is groundbreaking. You're not just talking about providing financial education to the kids. You're talking about, number one, engaging the teachers and the staff members who have never had the benefit of the same financial education that these kids need. As we talked about earlier, none of us in here got it. You're talking about engaging the parents so that the kids have the context both at home and at school. And you're bringing groundbreaking tools like Goal Setter into the classrooms and to these families. We recently won in 2022 the FinTech Breakthrough Award as the best personal finance app in the country. The reason I tell you that is not to brag. The reason I tell you is to say that is what Birmingham is providing to your students. We, as Isaac indicated, we recently launched content for the city of Birmingham with Anthony Anderson, who these kids see on television every week on Blackish. It's one of their favorite shows. And now they get to see him in the classroom explaining concepts like budgets over Birkin bags. Or life insurance isn't just for dead people. I mean, this is entertaining content, but it's more than entertaining content. It is transformational content that will stick with these kids forever so that they understand a budget, they understand how to build wealth, they understand you borrow to invest, don't borrow to spend. Those are concepts that we never understood, and we have some of the greatest financial education minds in the country that have helped to develop this content. But then we've presented it to kids in ways that they can digest and get excited about. So I'm very honored to be here today with Birmingham, as Birmingham always seems to do, leading the charge on civil rights, because we truly believe that this is a civil right for our children so that they can map a path to financial freedom. By 2053, African Americans are projected to have a negative net worth. Kids who have savings accounts in their name are 6 times more likely to go to college. They are 4 times more likely to own stocks by the time they're young adults. In partnership with Birmingham, we want to wake up in 30 years and say Birmingham crafted a different America, a different Birmingham for these students who you touched this year and hopefully in many years to come. Thank you so much for having me here and for having me as a part of this initiative. It means a lot to me personally and a lot to our company as well. And thank you, Isaac. Thank you, Mayor, for inviting me into this extraordinary initiative. Thank you.
One last note, Madam President and Council, it should be brief. I'll bring up Galvin Billups, who leads Division of Youth Services.
Good morning. Galvin Billups has the pleasure of serving as the Director for the Department of Youth Services. Just wanted to recognize, first of all, say thank you in advance for just your commitment to young people, but also for this historic opportunity to be a part of a great initiative. I do want to, time is already spent, I do want to acknowledge our partners who are here this morning, some of our principals that are here. I'm going to ask Dr. Horn to come on up as well as our principals who are here, just so that you can know who's in the room. And then I'm going to turn it back over to the mayor so that we can, and over to Madam President for the remainder of the meeting. Dr. Horn, you want me?
Good morning, Madam President.
Good morning.
Council members, Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity to come in front of you today. And I'll be short as well. I guess that's been said.
Yes, sir.
But it's short of it on my side, and thanks to Dr. Sullivan and his vision. Teaching and learning is our core business, but there is an intentionality and an alignment with this whole thing. Hopefully everyone's aware of the gains we made academically, but aligned with that, we're wanting students to be future ready, which means as early as elementary school, we're making them career aware. We're making the middle schools an exploration around careers. We're making high schools a preparation for careers. But with all of that, they need to understand financial literacy from an early time. So this aligns very nicely with what we're doing as that overall wraparound from academics to career to the support services to all the other pieces that we have for our families. So when the child graduates, they have the full scope of options and preparation that we provided for them, not only from high school, but from elementary all the way through high school. So again, appreciate the opportunity here. I know the principals. Well, let them come up.
Great morning to you. I am Dr. Nicole Davis Williams, principal of Jackson Olin High School. I am also a 1993 graduate of Jackson Olin High School, and we did learn a lot through FBLA at JO on how to do taxes, how to write checks, and open checking accounts and things of that nature. But I am excited about this program because what we learned at JO, I was able to land a job at the bank. I also became a math teacher because of what we learned through financial literacy and everything. But this program would catapult our students way further than I could have ever imagined to go. So I'm really excited to be a part of this program. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Marcia Henderson. I'm principal of Robinson Elementary School, K-5. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good morning. I'm Delilah Stitt. I'm the principal of Sun Valley Elementary School, and we're super excited about this empowering opportunity for the Sun Valley family.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Fred Stewart, principal of Hudson Cade School. We're very excited to have this opportunity for our students. It's going to take our students to the next level so that they can be successful from a financial literacy perspective. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you again, and with that, we'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much, and I think we had two other people that were here. We'd like to be sure to acknowledge them.
These are members of our great team. Come on forward. Department of Youth Services.
Wonderful.
This is Tracy Bennett. She serves as Deputy Director, and then Austin Sledge, who serves as our Public Information Officer with our team.
Thank you so much, Mr. Billups. And thank you, Mayor, and the council. We do have several councilors that have questions. I'll start with you, Dr. O'Quinn.
Yeah, I want to just thank Superintendent Sullivan, Mayor Woodfin, Mr. Cooper for their vision to get this type of program off the ground. I feel compelled to point out that we have a number of local financial institutions who aren't standing behind you. And, you know, this is the type of program that is directly in line with their business. In fact, you know, we have a community reinvestment act that they could potentially be earning credits through their participation in this type of programming. You know, I commend you know, the city for taking leadership in creating this type of program and get it off the ground. But I just, you know, again, feel compelled to issue a challenge to our local financial institutions that, quite frankly, you know, they could be paying for 100% of this and more.
So that's a great point, Dr. O'Quinn. And to your point, we've actually been in conversation with 4 financial institutions to date. We just wanted to get through the legal process before we, got them involved. But that's exactly how we've been communicating with them, because the students, unfortunately, their parents qualify for those CRA requirements that they need to adhere to. So as we expand, we look to essentially further those relationships. And again, in partnership with the city, we'll be able to identify the best way to get them engaged long term. But you're exactly right. We've been engaging them. We just wanted to make sure we got through this process to essentially let them know that this project is off the ground.
Great to know. Thank you.
Yes, sir. No, thank you.
Councilor Moore?
Yes. So, first of all, I just want to say thank you all to each and every one of you for, the effort and the work that you put into doing this. I know for me, man, I know when I first started working, I just wanted to get paid. Right? Obviously, who don't? But you have this thing called a W-2.
Yeah.
And I was confused around whether I should put a 1 or a 0.
That's
but I think that being able to have a program like this, it gives you the opportunity, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, whichever one gonna give me the most.
That's
it gives you the opportunity to learn about these things in advance, right? So that you're not confused and you're not just guessing.
That's right.
And you talked about how young people will have the opportunity to have stocks. That is big.
Right.
That is a big deal.
Right.
And in my mind, when I hear stock, I hear ownership in a company. I think people need to understand that piece. Like you own a part of whatever the company is that you have a stock in.
Right.
That's a big deal. That is a huge deal. And so I just thank you for that, because I know Dr. Lonnie Hannon, who is a good friend of mine, he always talks about how we as black people need to go from surviving to thriving.
That's right.
And a program like this serves as a catalyst for the next Black Wall Street.
That's
right. Like we can be able to create that through a program such as this. And so I really want to be able to see this in each and every school.
Yes, sir.
Because we need to have that.
I heard that. Yes, sir.
We need to have that. And I say that because my wife and I, we laugh all the time about a story that Steve Harvey tells about how when he wanted to get on TV, they talked about how he needed a speech coach, and he was like, I ain't need a speech coach to get here. And the lady was like, well, no, you need to talk proper. And he was like, man, which one would you rather say? I am broke or I is rich? And that just for me, right? It makes so much sense.
Right.
Us being able to create a program that teaches our young people about financial literacy is a game changer all across the board. It's all about making impact.
That's right.
And so I just want to say thank you. I looked in here and I saw the psychology piece, right?
Right.
Only 2 things that I had. One was I really would like to know if there's a piece where it talks about the history of money in our culture, right?
Yes, sir.
Because there have been moments and times in history where we as black people have amassed a lot of finances, right?
That's right.
And then things happen. Right. So I really would like for the young people to be able to connect to that.
Right.
And then also just had a question about I know Mayor told us not to beat you up.
Come on with it. Come on with it. It's all right.
But however,
we did in budget and finance, so
however, right? I think that there was an opportunity for some low hanging fruit with Woodlawn High School being the financial academy, right? And using that as the foundational starting point for the pilot, because that's what they're learning about, right?
Right.
And so just kind of was trying to get some thoughts around that.
Right. Well, you bring up a number of fantastic points. I think we need to clip that Steve Harvey moment and just put that on Instagram Reel, because that can go. Specifically around the historical exposure. And that's a really important aspect, because we have to educate our children on why their parents don't know this information, so they don't get upset with them once they learn the information. And so that history is extremely important. So we can go all the way back to the Freedmen's Bank, but I won't bore y'all with any of this history. But so being able to understand the dynamics that happen to black people, but also understand the history of money. because the history of money is evolving. You can literally say, hey, I left my wallet in the car and still pay for your meal and just use your phone. And so there is that connection that they need to know, so they're empowered with the tools in front of them. And then also to your point in regards of expanding this, the pilot into all 42 schools. One thing I definitely want to mention is that there are still deliverables for all 42 schools. So we established Financial Freedom Fridays, and so 2 times out of the month, all elementary, all middle schools, all high schools, and K through 8, they will have access to material to facilitate within their classroom, packaged to a point to where the teacher is not going to feel really feel any pressure on having to learn something before they facilitate it. And so that's where our partnership with Goal Setter will be amplified. So we'll have a presence in all schools. But I think also to your point, JT, how we scale this moving forward in the premier schools that we need to highlight along the way, we'll definitely would want to work in conjunction, of course, with the Board of Education in the school district's leadership, but also the council. One of the things that we learned getting proximate with JO during this process is that, JO, there's been an investment simulator type competition that they've been working with. I believe it's Miss Tracy Williams, and there's been some great results, right, that need to be amplified and highlighted. And so as we've been going into each school, there's been certain teachers or initiatives that we're learning. But I think as we scale, as we get into different schools, I think in conjunction with the city, as we get more resources, we'll be able to prioritize based off of this pilot. Because again, the pilot is going to give us information. It's really like a focus group ultimately with these comprehensive services. But we'll be able to not quickly, but with quality, scale that will have long-term implications and with the data that we need to extract. So I thank you for your comments, but I think to your point, that is where we'll all be able to coexist and work together on the best solution for the students.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other counselors?
Yes.
Okay. Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, I'm no stranger to this topic, and I know that Dr. Sullivan and Dr. Horn know that, and I'm really delighted that we are making this investment in our kids. I think financial education is the most critical life skill that none of us ever formally got. And, the people who need it the most are the least likely to gravitate to it when it's offered.
Right.
And, school is compulsory, but I think, once you start, including content that is this practical, students really get engaged. Right. And, I can't think of a kid who doesn't like money because, every time they go to the grocery store, they want things that they can't have. Right. And so when they realize they're not just coming to school because they have to, but they're investing in their own financial future.
Right.
And their ability to make money. Right. And then you're teaching them how to handle money. It's a winning combination, right. Because they'll get it. I mean, they have to get whatever you're teaching them, and this will be something they'll really want to learn. So I'm excited about the engagement it's going to create, and then dealing with the teachers and the family and equipping them because it's practical for them too.
That's right.
Yeah. And so when I was finishing college, my first credit card was Saks Fifth Avenue.
Okay.
I had no job.
Hold on.
They literally handed those out
That's
at
right.
the campus, right?
Yeah.
And I have to say it affected my taste, but no.
I was going to ask if you still got it is the question.
But anyway, so I'm just really delighted, and I love the cultural alignment. Some of my favorite topics are opportunity cost, financial dignity. I mean, like if you spend it on this, you won't have it to spend on this. And so I think those are really practical things because we want to have our cake and eat it too.
Right.
Also, bartering, I think, is culturally appropriate. If you have a skill or a gift, you can have non-monetary exchanges with your friends and your neighbors. When my father passed away, the neighbor always cut our yard, and my mother always paid for his chemicals. And so there's ways to exchange without money that I think are really culturally appropriate for us. I wanted to ask, is there going to be an independent third-party evaluation of, the demonstration? Because I think like Dr. Quinn said, if we can, through this demonstration, be able to show the gains and the results, I think getting others to invest in it will be easier.
Right.
And I'm a former head of the Region's Financial Education Institute, where we did sponsor a lot of financial education in the schools. One of the issues we always had was finding ways to get it into the class day.
Yep.
And I will say that Dr. Sullivan, as principal of Ramsey, always made room for EverFi in the class day. I remember you from that. And having the principals here gives me hope that they're going to make time to incorporate it. And so, you can sponsor it, but if you don't get the schools to fit it in and make it a priority,
right,
then it's going to be potentially money wasted. So,
right. So to your comment and question, so there's quantitative and qualitative data that we'll be extracting. So on the quantitative side, each topic, budgeting, earning income, we'll be able to get pre and post test data to show before we got here, this is their knowledge. After we leave, this is where they've been able to grow. The qualitative data is going to be more so in video form. And so each week, so just to share, we've been able to meet with the schools and the point of contact and establish the ideal calendar. So we'll be in 18 to 21 classrooms a week, and 18 to 21 classes a week. And so there will be qualitative data that we've been able to speak with their point of contact in regards to video form. So if a student, there's an exit survey. So before they leave the class, there's a particular question on that topic. So before they leave, there will be a video in the corner, and they're giving that experience on, all right, rule of 72, I learned how to double my money. So if I got 9%, we'll be able to see that qualitative growth in their words, right? So we'll have the physical documentation to show, okay, they pre-test, they scored a 47, now they're at a 78, right? And then we'll have the qualitative aspect, which I feel like is the most rich information, is in video form, them being able to reflect on their experience. And so that is extremely important with this program and this initiative, knowing that we have a long-term focus and implication. And so we're going to ensure that either the resources and the data that we can extract, or if we need to partner with a third party to extract that data to reflect that to the council, we'll be prepared to display that.
So, okay, so it sounds like you'll be collecting a lot of data, but 100%. Is there someone whose role is the evaluation and kind of the compilation of that?
Internally. Yes,
okay.
ma'am. Great question.
Thank you. Councilor Abbott?
I've learned a lot today. I have a colleague here who is a comedian, and I have the elitist down here who had a Saks Fifth Avenue card.
That's right.
My first card was Sears Roebuck.
There you go. Roebuck.
Which sort of reflects, a lot of things. So, but the thing I really want to know is how long is it going to take in your projections to get this to all the schools? Because every year a group of students graduates, so they didn't get it. So, I was very fortunate. My parents lived through the Depression. So everybody else is too young to have parents that lived through the Depression. And if you lived through the Depression and you didn't have any money for food, you learned to save. And when you had children, you forced them to save whether they wanted to or not. And you also made them work for their allowance. A lot of things happen that don't happen now. In fact, when Dr. Sullivan was talking about balancing your checkbook, who writes a check anymore? So kids, they're in a whole different world from the world I started out in. And so I want to know, how. And I know you don't know for sure, but how long do you project it will take to get this to everybody instead of just the elite few?
Well, as I mentioned, we will have some level of presence in all 42 schools, but the comprehensive solution, I think we're going to need to prioritize who's going to use this information first, which is going to be our seniors, right? So 30% of the seniors, they are graduating, not going to college. So what does it look like retaining our top talent in the city of Birmingham and equipping them with the skills to essentially gain assets as soon as they graduate? a number of seniors aren't aware that their time in high school can count as work experience to be able to purchase a home. So there's been a number of Birmingham students that graduated, and then within 6 months they closed on a home. We have those examples, right? And so, you know, when we think about prioritizing scaling to 42, we want to be considerate to the seniors, you know, knowing that they're going to be making decisions with money pretty quickly. So that will be, you know, that first hierarchy. But I think from a timing perspective, once we get done with this, with the second 9 weeks of this semester, we'll have more data to speak more confidently in our ability to scale to all 42. Of course, the resources is the first thing, right? If the money is there, we'll be able to design and implement. But to put that on an overall calendar, I don't want to speak in incomplete sentences. And so if you could give us until we can get through the end of this second 9 weeks, we'll be able to circle back and say, to scale to all 42, this is the timeline. We've identified the cost. We just got to identify the timeline.
Thank you.
Thank you. Because I'm thinking about all these banks that have these commitments to reinvest in our communities. It seems to me that this is a reinvestment in our community, and that 100%. They could send some of their little people over here to help, and they could do it for free.
And I think
they've got a commitment they've got to meet.
That's right.
I think they've got to meet it. They're supposed to meet it.
And we have to be very intentional with these commitments. One, educating them, letting them know that this is a way for them to suffice those CRA requirements. But also, you know, sometimes, unfortunately, when they see checking the box, there isn't the proximity to the solution, or the energy or the empathy around the solution that the volunteer that just got an email saying they got to be at a particular school that's needed. And that's why our training is very important. Before we put anyone in the school, they have to go through our training to make sure that they can connect with the students. Because even as we've been going to different schools, there's been different organizations, programs that was started but never finished. Isaac, after 3 weeks, they never showed back up. Right? And so that has nothing to do with the students, everything to do with that infrastructure. And so I believe, to your point, you know, with the support of the council and the mayor, gathering these financial institutions in one setting and sharing this project with them, but also educating them on how they can amplify this and grow this and scale this in a quicker manner with additional resources, not only the resources from a monetary standpoint, but also from a personnel standpoint to hit that 42 number.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Woods.
Thank you, Madam President. One, just want to thank everybody for coming together, working together collectively. I think when you're willing to partner and do things like that, I think you can get bigger results. And so I'm just thinking back, it might have been a couple years ago, we were having a conversation just around like the wealth gap and how do you close, what can we actually do action-wise to close that. And so that's one of the things that you actually mentioned. Yeah. You didn't say you were working on something, but we're excited to kind of see this come together. I think it's just everybody accepting that some of these problems are bigger than one silo and just coming together collectively to do it together. So I just want to commend everybody, for working together, and just the power of just getting some of this information, even in passing. Because I can remember, I think, a history teacher that she used to just go off on tangents about, I don't know if she was working on her personal finances, but she would just go off talking about, you got to save and do these things and this and that. And even my mom, I think I was around 8th or 9th grade maybe, but every time we get in the car, she got on this fiscal responsibility, just learning about all these different things. And she was playing these tapes and radio shows nonstop in the car. So I was just absorbing it. But just hearing it is extremely beneficial. So I think with this intentional, specifically teaching certain topics and getting in that early, I think is key. So one, just excited for the collaboration and excited to see where this goes. So we'll definitely be watching closely. And also want to say good morning to Mr. Principal Stitt.
Thank you. Council Pro Tem, was there any other Council Tate? Sorry.
I just want to echo what all of my other colleagues have said. This is going to be a game changer. I see that 3 of my schools are on here, and my principal is back there as well. And I'm also looking at one of my favorite topics that I'm currently learning about is cryptocurrency.
Yes, ma'am. There we go.
Bitcoin
That's
and
right.
XRP and all that old good old stuff. So this is going to be good, and I may come and sneak in one in the classroom, get me some
Please
more
do.
financial skills.
Please do. Please
so
do.
I like this, and I'm like, with Councilor Abbott and Councilor Clark and Councilor Quinn raised, I think, banks have made a commitment. We just got to hold people accountable.
That's right. That's right.
And even like you said, it may not be monetary, but you do have the personnel that's skilled, on these levels, and to come in and play their part and their role as well.
Right. That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam President. That's the thing about going last. Everybody takes your questions and your comments. So by the time you get out your Mayor Whitman, you'd be like, dang, what was I supposed to say? But Mr. Cooper, that's a District 6 resident, so I'm going to brag a little bit, bringing a legacy program. But I really want to say thank you because you listen to our questions, because a lot of what you're saying is what we were asking in Budget and Finance, and we did grill him, y'all, about why these schools and why this I want you to talk about the volunteers. I know you and I talked about at the meeting about taking the banks and getting those volunteers, because I know they've done that with me. I know Council Woods have done that, but I would love to see those banks 100%. Really go in there and take your program and teach it. And that way, because you talked about how teachers, you said a screen could happen where they could look at live, or am I lying?
So the financial workshops, of course, that will be available virtually, but the to your point in regards to the banks and the volunteer opportunities. So there's two ways to essentially volunteer, and this is also for the community as well. So if the community is listening and they say, hey, look, this is a great project, we would love to support. Of course, the in-person instruction, and again, we have training that you have to go through to ensure before you're deployed in a school. So it's not just signing up for a school, going through the training, and then there's weekly training as well. And then to support the one-on-one consultations. Ideally, we would like those that have been in the financial industry in some form or fashion. So we've even spoken with the JP Morgan, some of the investment companies that already have individuals that are trained to speak with someone about their finances. They just don't get paid to speak with folks at Birmingham City School, unfortunately, because their income does not reflect the business model that JP Morgan and some of these financial institutions have. And so there are ways, of course, they'll be able to support that way. But I think, to your point, being able to galvanize them and share this project, and also see what resources they have to support. But we are very, very, very intentional about what these students are going to have in front of them. They got to look like it, right? Like these students need to be able to see themselves in some form of fashion, or have someone comfortable enough to be able to speak to them in a way that empowers them, it equips them, but also it engages with them in a way that where they're excited to come back. And I can't tell you, it's warming to be able to go to a class, speak to a group of students, and then see them at Marino's 2 hours later, right? Like it's full circle for them as well. And I'm getting chill bumps thinking about it, because unfortunately, being in the financial industry over the last decade, I've seen people not unlock their goals and dreams only because they didn't have access to information. That's literally what we guide them on. We just create a safe environment for them to tell us what's important to them. That's it. And we give them the education that's needed to make sure that they can execute. And so we'll be able to unlock a lot of dreams that's been shackled only due to the fact, just as Councilor Moore mentioned, their mindset around money. They're in survival mode. So when they get home, they're hearing mom say, man, I got to figure out how I'm going to pay this bill. I got to figure out how we're going to survive. We got to talk about how we're going to thrive. And the main difference between the two isn't income, it's mindset. And so we'll be able to get ahead of that, but also as we engage some of these financial institutions and partners, so I'll get into a whole rant. As we engage some of these financial institutions and partners, we'll be able to guide them on how to ensure that this investment is long-term versus them thinking about, all right, can we get them signed up for a credit card? Can we get them signed up for a bank account, right? Like we're taking the commission breath out of this volunteer aspect of it, because that's the other element, is that these companies are trying to, if they don't see a way to make money off of you, they don't care about you. Unfortunately, we see that in different industries. And so when it pertains to financial empowerment and financial literacy, what we've built solves that problem, because we're going to take them from one tax bracket to the next, ultimately.
Oh, that's so good. I love your passion, honestly. Following you on Facebook to see you go on a little rant about about financial literacy or see you in the school. So you literally like walk the walk. This isn't just you just doing the program just because Mayor Whiffen probably asked you to. I really appreciate. And I talked about budget and finance. I don't know what happened because Birmingham City Schools did have something like this. I did have somebody. Hopefully the workbook isn't as boring as what we had, because it was pretty boring. But we had the feeling, we had the stock market. We learned about the stock market, and we made a game. Kids, are we really competitive? Like, oh, my stock's going to do better than yours. And I really enriched that, poured that. So I'm really happy to hear about this. I really am. You talked about teaching kids instead of buying J's, having a stock in Nike. So you can buy 50 J's.
That's right.
Having that active, passive income. And I think it's good you guys are talking about credit cards, because there's such a negative connotation around it. Really, it can help you to build up your credit. When you apply for an apartment, when I did, I had to have my parents co-sign because I didn't have enough credit. Because it was the exact opposite. They didn't want me to have a credit card to mess up my credit. So I really appreciate what you're doing, Mr. Billups. I think you're doing a great job. I really do think that all these different programs are coming out for the youth. I really want the community to know that the city is doing things like this, because they swear up and down we're not doing things for the youth, and we're doing things like this. So I would like to propose for the next budget, if I really would like to see more money towards this from us, and to put it to all the high schools. Because the first time I really learned when I was in college about not getting a credit card was I went to HBCU Hampton. They did like a little skit where they had these nerds, they had these cute girls, and they had credit cards coming, and they declined at the dinner, and then they had to wash the dishes. But that stuck in my head. Yeah, it was really cute. They dressed up. They were like, ha, 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 ha. Like, it was really cute. And the girls go off, but like, that's something that stay in my memory, 10, 11 years later. So I really appreciate this. Mayor Whiffen, thank you for that. And thank you to the council. I don't think we thank my colleagues enough for really entrusting the mayor and Kevin's and Chaz's vision for this, because we could have said no to this in the budget. We could have said there's nothing on the table, like we don't need to pass this, but I really want to thank you guys. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. And I'll close this out. We do want to thank everyone for bringing this program and providing this not only to our students, but to the parents, the teachers, and the families that would be affected by this. Superintendent, you said when you graduated, that was the first time you got approached about the credit card. Well, when my parents dropped me off by horse and buggy in the old days at the University of Alabama, I got my first one as a freshman and came home that Christmas bearing all these gifts, and my parents were like, where did you get this from? They knew that I had nothing. But you see how you just want to be sure how you're able to control that and utilize that. And so many of our children, when they come back from school, they come back in debt because they've received this easy credit. And so just giving them opportunity before they set foot in the door, either career or college, that they know how to manage the money. I'm very excited about what you're going to be doing. And I just really want to thank you all. I believe you have one more comment.
Please.
I just wanted to chime in for both of you based on those comments and say one of our Anthony Anderson videos is called Credit Cards Are for Credit Scores.
I like that.
And then another one that talks specifically about J's and Nike stock is buy stock, not stuff.
Very good, very good. Yes, and I do just want to add, we were very specific with Mr. Isaac Cooper when he came. I was going to say Mr. Isaac. Mr. Cooper, when he came to Budget and Finance, of course, these are, as you started out, Mayor Whiffen, these are pilot schools. This is a pilot program. So there are 6 schools. So don't jump on us as counselors if neither of our schools are presented here. But there was a method to the madness of how you wanted to choose these 6 schools. So if you'll just tell us a little bit, and how I think you have 2 12th grade, 1 8th, 1 7th, and then 2 4th grade classes of the 6.
Yeah, great question. So when we mapped the solution, we wanted to make sure that there was data that drove our ability to track the progress. So Jumpstart established the National Financial Literacy Standard, which is at the 4th, 8th, and 12th grade level. So it breaks down all the major topics: earning income, savings, budgeting, and so that's where we started. As we engaged with Dr. Horn in the district, we talked about looking at a feeder system, or which school should we start. And they were able to essentially provide us with the schools and the contacts and say, all right, knowing that we have the vision to get all 42, let's at least start here. And so with the guidance of the district, and we're going to lean heavily on that as we look to scale as well. Because again, scaling quickly is one thing, but scaling with quality is another, right? And so, and we hear it all the time. If you go fast, go alone, but go far, go together. And so we're going to engage, to your point, Councilman Woods, to continue to work as a team and partner and ensure that we equip them with the information that we gather during this pilot, and then that will help drive some of the future decisions.
Thank you. Council Pro Tem?
I was going to ask about the psychology piece. I really want to see about, and you see it's more with adults and teenagers, talking about anxiety and money.
Yes.
Yep. Really, and that can come in a lot of ways, whether it's I'm anxious, I'm stressed, and a lot of women do this, let me go buy a purse, let me go buy shoes. I'm anxious about the income that's coming in, let me do this, that, and the third. I really want to see that for our kids, because I think of adults, if we had learned that, maybe we wouldn't be as much debt as we are. So I really would like to see
retail therapy.
Not retail therapy, honey.
Extremely important, though. That is extremely important. Mindset and money goes hand in hand, and even as adults, we still have to manage that, right? Social media influence a good bit of that, but we call it analysis paralysis, right? You got so many decisions you make, you don't make any decision but the worst one, right? And so that is extremely important, and the rigor is going to be specific at elementary, middle, and high school. So, financial psychology may start with a minion video, right, for the elementary school. And so we have different videos in ways in which we'll be able to engage. But that's pretty much the bedrock. Financial psychology and budgeting is a bedrock of financial literacy for sure.
Well, thank you all very much. Again, we appreciate this program, and we're ready for the vote. Thank you.
Got a vote on it.
We still got to vote on it.
The vote has started.
Thank you.
And
Are we up? We up?
Yes, ma'am. And you can see it on the screen.
Yes, I see it. Thank you. I know.
Sass fair. Yeah, right.
We have one more council.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much. Item 30 passes, and we do appreciate you. Thank you.
Madam President, on behalf of Sears, Roebuck, and Saks Fifth Avenue, thank you so much. Thank you all. Thank you all. Genuinely, thank you.
You have to put something on Twitter. You got to do something about that. You just got to. We got to have something. I love it. Thank you very much.
I think it was about your...
Good morning, everybody, except Saxon Sears. Very good. Last item, Madam Clerk.
Our next item is item 35. It's on page 29. A resolution authorizing the mayor to execute and deliver an agreement for micro-transit services between River North Transit LLC, a wholly owned subsidiary of Via Transportation, Inc., and the City of Birmingham to provide transportation services along with technology and professional services for the design, marketing, launch, operation, maintenance, and performance evaluation for a period not to exceed 3 years for an amount not to exceed $2,640,000 per year.
Move the item.
All right, thank you very much. Again, this is related to the amount we passed in the budget for Via Transportation. Councilor O'Quinn, you asked to pull this from consent.
Yeah, so we heard this item at yesterday's Transportation Committee, and the Transportation Committee did vote to recommend to advance this to the full council for consideration. It should be noted, though, that there was some hesitation because when we were considering the fiscal year 2023 budget and the allocation for this particular program, I think the council was pretty unified in their desire to see an expansion of the service area. I think that's pretty safe to say. It was with, the hesitation when we were discussing it yesterday was the fact that, due to the fact that this agreement doesn't enlarge the service area to any degree, it's really continuing the service as it is presently. I think we need to have some discussion and get some feedback around that. I know that the BJCTA is in process of contracting with VIA for on-demand microtransit service. The scope of what they're looking to do is to employ this service to provide public transportation during the evening hours, specifically between 7 and 11. As I understand it, their footprint is going to be much larger than the current Birmingham on-demand footprint. So I just know from being involved in some of the other, some of the conversations about what the city's doing and what BJCTA is doing, that there's conversation happening about how to coordinate each of our programs. But it remains that we're moving forward with a contract that doesn't expand the footprint. And again, this council, I think it was very clear in their desire to see the service expanded. So, Mayor Woodfin, if you could speak to those concerns.
Yes, sir, Madam President.
Yes.
To Dr. O'Quinn's concern, that I think it's fair to say he's speaking on behalf of you all individually and collectively. Thank you for your patience. That's one. Two, I guess I want to go from this standpoint, the contract expired. So what's before you is renewing of the service to stay provided. What's provided for you for the July 1 new fiscal year was an increase in funds to expand those services, which is separate from today. So I will see if I can say that in a clearer way. What's before you is a contract that was for 3 years, set to expire. Therefore, you're voting to renew us to continue to engage via. Period. July 1, you all voted, very kind of you, to increase those funds for increase/expansion of services. Pause. The next thing that happened once you all did that is the team started, the professional folk. What I want us to do is what I want the 10 of us to do is things like transportation, things like paving, things like sidewalks and other infrastructure transportation investments. And that is, it shouldn't be squeaky wheel or political. Some things inherently are subjective, but I think it's important that we have a process where we maximize tax dollars. In the case of VIA, the professional folk upstairs in the transportation department are going through a process where they're actually assessing how transportation flows in the city of Birmingham to optimize the dollars that you all have voted on to increase that expansion, to see where it lands across 9 city council districts and where. The truth is they have not presented that to me, therefore I can't present it to you yet. But they know my concern, they know your concern. I asked for an update 3 weeks ago, it's still not complete. And then, period on that, a separate subject, enters BJCTA who says, hey, we want to do VIA 2. So all of a sudden, the process we had going in isolation, now, I'm not going to say it stops, but it extends it, because you don't want to double dip with BJCTA. You want to make sure the partnership is working. But I will continue to not only push our team, I'll continue to push BJCTA in coordination and cooperation. We want something. I would like to present something to this council, which is the same to the public, before this year is out, and there's only 1 quarter remaining. close to a little over 90 days. So my intent is to push something out, but I do want them to get it right first from a professional, objective process standpoint on where should it actually be used based on our max bus is based on BRT, now based on BJCTA wanting to do their own via, and of course what you did. When we talk about our toolbox, this is a case where all the tools need to be actually working together, not in isolation. So I hope that addressed some of what you shared your concern on behalf of your colleagues.
Dr. Quinn, is that okay? All right. Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, I think that Dr. Quinn kind of already spoke to my concern, and I think the mayor touched on it. Used a lot of big words that I don't know if I've had enough coffee this morning.
I can make it plainer.
But let me dumb it down for my question specifically, because this has come up multiple times where we have spoken about VIA, and I think Mr. Mayor, you just spoke to those 3 times, but every time that we have spoken about it, I was assured by the team that we're looking at partnering with the BJCTA, and we're looking at where the BRT is going to be and coupling the VIA service with a way that it makes sense with BRT. And but each time that's been the same thing. So I guess my question is, why are we doing a 3-year contract if that's been the promise every time? It's a 3-year term. I guess it renews every year.
Well, it's subject to terms. It's subject to funds being available, but via and the city, both. I'm not going to point just the finger to via. City of Birmingham wanted a long-term contract too. We think microtransit should be here to stay, right? When we started out, this was a pilot, right, model, a certain area, and we wanted to expand. That expansion is predicated on money. You all approved that money. On your first part of what you said around BJCTA, sure, we wanted to do that. But we also wanted, if I'm honest, we wanted BJCTA to get their house in order, right? Isolated to their one tool that they're responsible for at the time, which is max buses. We wanted them to optimize their routes. We wanted them to be more efficient in their system. So we didn't want to add on microtransit in partnership with them until we felt more comfortable about how they were engaging their one tool. Now in addition to that, there's Bus Rapid Transit is in the queue, and we've handed it over to them. Now separate from that, they have some additional money apparently that they would like in isolation from Birmingham, separation from Birmingham's funding, that they have some funding towards VIA. Now we want to put all of that together. And I think in those past conversations, the money wasn't there, but I don't think can this actually work? Even if we wanted it to, could it work, and how was it going to work? But I think our transportation department is more comfortable. Funding is available now for both parties, and now all of that comes together.
So when it comes to expansion to the good people of the east side, what does that look like? Because this, I think, is this the 4th time we voted on this? And each time I'm promised we're going to consider expanding it to the east side, and now this is the 4th time I've voted on this, or about to be, I believe. What does expansion look like?
So I just asked one of our team members from the Department of Transportation to come in. Let me not give you a political answer, because that would be stupid. Let me let a professional come up and explain kind of what they've been doing, not just for District 2/East Side, but how does this fit for the whole city, and how do you optimize expansion, right?
Good morning, Ms. Argo.
Good morning. Nice to see you guys. Christina Argo, the Department of Transportation. So East Side was the question, and really we should be thinking about the whole city as a whole of where we will be expanding. And we've got VIA actually running data-driven analysis for us right now. I don't have anything final to share with you guys yet, but it is, I know you're tired of hearing it's coming, but it is coming, and I think the mayor did a great job of talking about all those pieces getting into place with BJCTA. They're all in place now. We'll have a contract signed, and we'll be able to come back to you guys with a plan that will address everybody's concerns about expansion into certain districts.
Then why is the contract 3 years?
3, so, yeah.
When we first entered this contract, that's what it was. Keep the services renewed, we just kept it at 3. I know it's hard for me to ask you all, hey, separate a 3-year contract that was set to expire from expansion, but that's kind of what it is, right? In July, you approved more money to expand services. We're at a point now where the 3-year deal we entered into 3 years ago is expiring. So if it expires, we start away over, or whatever that is. Separate, if you can, the 3-year renewal, 3-year services from expansion where new money has been put into the coffers and the assessment is being done that's not complete for expansion of those services.
So I guess this comes at a really bad time for me, because last night was my triple header where I have 3 neighborhood meetings. And the comments were looking at the celebration of the BRT, which is something that obviously should be celebrated, and I think we're all very excited about. But it's completely missing in District 2 in all my neighborhoods. The BJCTA has cut routes that mostly serve District 2, and VIA is not available in District 2. So when I go before these neighborhoods and promise that it's expanding, the consensus is that I'm not being forthcoming and honest with them, because they see all these things happening, whether it be we're expanding VIA or renewing VIA for 3 years, we're opening the BRT, and at the same time the only option was the Max Bus option, which most of those stops are no longer working, or they've taken those stops out in District 2, let's put it that way. And VIA would be a great solution to that, because if the ridership is not something that the BJCTA can fully maintain a route, and there's a handful of elderly people or people that do not have cars, VIA would be a perfect solution, which is why every single time we voted on this, I have said these exact same things. And it's so hard for me to be able to support this when every single time, and I get the pilot. So I said we're voting, this will be my 4th time. Let's scratch the pilot, because we got to have a pilot to see its utilization and see if it works and see if our relationship with VIA would work. And I think that it has, or at least that's my understanding. But the whole issue of the elderly people that would like to have access to transportation in my district and not having it is a continued issue. And obviously that ridership isn't there enough to have an entire Max Bus stop at a lot of locations, because they've been taken out, and I assume that's route optimization. But there's still handfuls of people throughout my district that need the ability to call a VIA and go to the grocery store or doctor or wherever they want to go, or movies, whatever. And I'm having a hard time, as the mayor just said, separating a 3-year agreement where we get the same thing after we've been promised expansion, and we're kind of having the same conversation.
So, Madam President,
yes, Mr.
to
Mayor.
Councilor Hunter Williams' point, one, I think it's very fair. I think if I poll or ask a question to the majority of the councilors, residents in your district will have the same concern and/or issues. A couple notes here. That was a very long pilot, right? So that wasn't just one-time pilot. It was a long-term pilot, and then the money stayed the same for 3. If I'm correct, Mr. Mitchell, is this the first year we've increased the money? So this is the first year we've been able to increase the money. So the money's been increased 1 quarter, where in this same quarter we're assessing We're assessing where it can be expanded to. We're not BRT. We're not, I'm sorry, didn't mean to say it. We're not BJCTA. We have, I know Mr. Chairman of the Transportation and I, we've talked about this for years about route optimization, right? That they need to be efficient in the service they deliver. We can't be any different, right? This is process driven. And is it too slow? Yes. Is it not fast enough? Correct. But we do want to get it right with the limited amount of dollars, right? So I want to be very clear. This will not be expanded to all 99 neighborhoods because there's not enough money in what you all approve for it to be expanded. And so we go objective, neutral process first based on not only the additional dollars allocated, but more so attached to where the service is needed based on how people move from point A to B in the city, whether by vehicle, by bus, by foot, by bike, or whatever that is. I don't even know. And we have our transportation department working alongside VIA to assess and ascertain that information to bring it back before this council related to where those routes will actually be. Not satisfactory based on that young man's face. Understood.
Well, because it's the exact thing that we were told last time we voted on it. Let me ask you a transportation question around this. Would VIA not be a good solution to somewhere that used to have a BJCTA max bus route, but that route was taken away, and so there is only a handful of people? Would VIA not be a great solution to supplement that, even though the neighborhood doesn't have enough people to have a bus stop? Would VIA not be just the perfect solution?
The answer is yes. The answer is yes. To all of you all, the answer is yes. VIA has a cost. VIA is not free. The additional dollars you all gave us doesn't allow us to expand it to the entire city. So that has to be assessed. As it relates to your example, though, that's what we're hoping in partnership with the BJCTA, that their route optimization that pretty much changed certain routes or discontinued certain routes, that VIA supplements where they want it to be based on their current route optimization plan. Hopefully, sir.
So then is the plan to partner with the BJCTA on this?
Yes, it's already in play.
Okay.
It's already in the works now. It just extends our assessment process, right? Because now you have a partner at the table that says, hey, we're going to put money towards VIA too. Well, you don't want, trust me, you don't want BJCTA and the city of Birmingham not working together. Because if BJCTA is a pilot starting at 8, we expand, that it expands all the way to 8, and then on top of that, they come to 8, you're going to be mad at both of us because you're going to say, why it's not in 2? Well, the truth is, BJCTA and the city need to be doing the same thing. This needs to be process driven, no different than bus routes needs to be, optimization for bus routes. It's kind of similar, and it needs to be an objective process. It can't be politically driven. And on top of that, it's also still based on how much money we're putting towards VIA, which if we all want it in all 9 districts, it's going to be a whole lot more money. A whole lot more.
So in addition to it being process driven, the plan for expansion that we present to you guys will be data driven. So VIA has robust capabilities as far as, number one, knowing how the service has gone here in the city for the last 3 years, and then being able to look at all the other expansion opportunities in conjunction with the new BRT and what BJCTA is doing. So we'll have data that backs up the decisions we're making as far as where we will be expanding.
And when do we get that expansion? Because the last time we voted on this, we were told we were going to be presented that plan.
I believe we mentioned coming back to you guys in October because we knew our contract would be up in September. So So I'm just asking for a little patience, a few more weeks for us to put together a plan that you can understand and that is backed by data.
Are we going to delay this until October?
Well, I'm going to allow the other councilors to ask questions, and then we'll deliberate. Councilor Clark.
Thank you. My read of it, just from Councilor Williams's question about the term, it looks like it's renewable up to 36 months, but it's really in 12-month increments.
That's correct. It's based on monies available every year.
Okay, but I mean, we could not renew after 12 months.
Yes,
under this agreement.
Yes, but we wouldn't want to do that, one, and two, based on his point.
Okay.
You don't necessarily want to delay it. You don't want the contract to expire because the current service will stop. So I completely understand your points. You are advocating on behalf of the people you serve. Data is not ready and the process is not complete. And so we're not in a position today to bring this back to you. However, what's before you is continue the current service separate from the expansion that we're in process of. If you don't do that, then we jeopardize cutting off the current service that's still in existence.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, I think this is great. You know, I know so many people who rely on it for so many things, and even getting kids safely to school and to after-school activities. So it's just a really cost-effective way to get people around and really value it. But one of my questions, because I know that, you know, we spent some time talking to BJCTA, and one of their frustrations seemed to be that they can't get credit for the miles traveled under VIA, I guess, in their federal scorecard to be able to leverage more federal funding. And I'm not sure I'm communicating this correctly. But now that we're cooperating and I see them in the agreement by reference, you know, does this open the way for them to now get credit for the miles, the VIA miles under the city's contract?
You know, that's a good question. I'm not sure that it works that way, but to your point, they do get credits. It's federal matching is what Dr. O'Quinn's nodding. Federal matching funds, because they are a transit authority. You know, we are a city. This is not typically something a city manages. So, but let me take that back to the office of the city attorney and find out if by us partnering with BJCTA, if we can somehow count our miles.
Yeah, because I would be really interested in that, because otherwise I'm just, you know, if we could leverage more federal funding by letting this service be shifted over to the BJCTA, but if we don't have to and we can cooperatively, you know, pool money to expand the service, as long as they're getting credit for the miles, I think I would be fine with it. But because, I mean,
I think that's all of our goals, is to be able for us to collaborate and cooperate on service. Because I will say this: in the long term, the city really doesn't want to be in the transit business, right? But we're doing what we need to do right now to support transportation options for our residents. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I wish we had an answer to that question today, because I feel like, you know, there should be a way, that should be a goal of this agreement, to get them credit for the miles that are being traveled under our contract. So
we'll talk to Office of the City Attorney and find out. We'll get you an answer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any councilor who hasn't asked a question that would like to?
Councilor Woods.
Councilor Woods. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. I think I'm up, and I may be able to get the clarification I need, because my concern was more about the budget versus the deliverable side of it. And so going back FY22, we put about $500,000 towards this program. This year we did 1.2. This contract, you know, works out to about roughly $867,000 per year over the 3 years. Is that 2.6 over 3? Or is that 2.6 for 1 year?
That's per year. Madam President, I apologize. So just to give more context to it, so when we first got VIA, it was in the truest sense a pilot program. did for $500,000, and we had a match through the community foundation. And then once we started seeing that the program was very successful, then we went to the council and asked for an extension. That's why you've seen it 4 times before this council. And then we rolled into, COVID, and then it kind of stalled a lot of things when we tried to get into the process of getting the VIA to what we wanted to look like, what the council wanted it to look like. So at that point, we leveraged the ARPA funds, was around $1.5 million that was already approved by the council. And then we included another 1.2 out of the general fund, which kind of brings all these funds together into this one contract. So what's before the council is really just a continuation of what's already been approved, but we want at least a 3-year minimum. So we won't have to keep coming back to the council asking for amendments and amendments and amendments to the agreement. So that's why you have it as a 3-year minimum, and it is a not to exceed amount, which allows us leverage to sit here and manage the type of expansion program that we want to see for VIA. But it takes data. We just can't expand it without making sure that we're putting it in the right communities, in the right neighborhoods. So I think that's what Ms. Argo is trying to relay, is that we just need just a little more time so we can work with VIA, BJCTA, which is something brand new that we just kind of just found out about, that they want to use the VIA service. So, and we're not trying to give you an excuse, but we just want to make sure that we're doing it right.
No, I appreciate that. I think the numbers may help me get clarity and just get us on the same page. But what was our actual spend on VIA over 12? Because are we operating on the same footprint that we have for the last 12 months?
Chief or Ms. Argo?
Yeah, I can kind of answer because she sends me the invoices. So it varies because it's based off of ridership. And then I think a couple of months ago when we did the expansion program, we added another bus to the routes. So it just depends. It fluctuates because it's data driven on people actually using the app. And then we subsidize it with the funds that we put into it to where a rider can only have to spend a certain amount of money, and then the city subsidizes the rest of that amount. So, I mean, we can give you a monthly spend to let you see how the ridership fluctuate from month to month.
Yeah. I guess I'm just trying to hone in because it feels like, because when we talked about going from the 500,000 to 1.2, it was a conversation around expanding the footprint. Mm-hmm. And so it sounds like, in what y'all are telling us today, that there was no movement towards expanding the footprint. And to expand it, we will have to come back and have another conversation about money and what that looks like.
We have the money.
Okay,
correct?
well, explain.
Chief Mitchell, we have the money.
So are you saying this
2.6
is not going to be fully expended on this specific service? Or we don't anticipate that to be fully expended?
So that's why it was a not to exceed amount. So that gives us the leverage to work within the expansion of the program. But right now, we had to have the money in place, which was just approved by the council a couple months ago, on top of the ARPA funds that was approved.
No, I mean, this may be the answer, so we may be honing in on it, but is there a gap between the ceiling of the not to exceed and what we anticipate spending?
So, I mean, I think our anticipated...
Are you expanding by, in order to get more, you have to either reduce something and pull some levers, and so is that the thought?
So 2.6 gives us a safety net. So our expansion is funded this year. I think it's 2.2. Is that right? But 2.6 gives us a safety net over the next 3 years to be able to account for, inflation and rising cost of fuel or drivers or whatever that may be. So it doesn't mean we're going to spend 2.6. It gives us that flexibility. But as all I know is the money we have for this year, around 2.2 million, which is an increase over the last 3 years.
Yes. All right. I'm going to just say this and then we'll take this offline, but we had put in $500,000 a year FY22. FY23 we came back and talked about 1.2 million, and that was tied to an expansion. And so now we're talking about, we're not even talking about expansion right now. I'm unclear on, it doesn't sound like that extra money was directed directly towards expansion. It sounds like it's directed towards extending this contract, but maybe my concerns are being heard and maybe I'm not understanding clearly, so we'll circle back.
I think it would be easier if our contract with VIA started and began in July. You know, with the fact that we started service with them in September, it's a little confusing because we have to budget the money first, and then when you come to an end of a contract, you know, that comes.
So are you saying, I guess this may be it too, are you saying that you put the ARPA funds went into FY22 number, increasing that 500,000? But I guess so. I guess I'm missing when we still had the conversation around expansion and going to 1.2 million.
Well, I cannot wait to come see you guys in a few weeks and present our plan, and I hope you all will be very excited. So
let me just clarify before we ask another question. Our vote today is we're going into another contract. And so if we do not vote today, then those services would not be rendered for our residents if we delayed this or if we didn't go ahead and provide these services. Okay, Dr. O'Quinn.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that our contract with BJCTA is on a October schedule, and October is upon us. I can tell you they're extremely motivated to get that contract in place. And quite frankly, you know, the information I've received from BJCTA is like, look, you just tell us what services you want and we'll provide those, you know. So, you know, they definitely, speaking to your point, Councilor Clark, they see, you know, this public transportation happening, and yet they're missing out on being able to draw down additional federal support because they're not administering it. You know, those miles aren't counting towards their credits, you know, and so, you know, they definitely, you know, want to have a partnership with the city so that they can take advantage of that. So my point was, you know, we do have the contract with the BJCTA coming before us imminently. You know, I think it's probably part of our goal to spell out in that contract what this type of collaboration is going to look like. And again, BJCTA is very motivated to get that contract in place. They operate on an October fiscal year calendar, so they want to go into their next fiscal year knowing that they can count on funding from the city of Birmingham, you know, so that they can pass a balanced budget. They can't get to a balanced budget, quite frankly, without having that contract in place, you know. I feel confident, you know, that everybody is very motivated to get to a point of consensus and move forward. Yeah.
Councilor Williams, I believe you have.
Thank you, Madam President. So, do I understand correctly that the date of the contract is September the 27th?
The end date, yes.
Which is today, correct?
That's correct.
So why has this not been brought to this council before the actual date of the contract?
That is a good question.
No, I can answer that.
Okay.
We had to actually wait because this actually, I'm sorry, Madam President.
Go ahead.
It was a timing situation when we actually put this out for bid, and this was the only responsible bidder that responded back to our bid. So that was the timing delay that was involved in it, because we had to actually put it out for bid.
Okay, I guess, let me rephrase my question. Why wasn't whatever needed to be done in the background done so that this was not given the day of that it had to be renewed, where service would be canceled to our residents if we did not vote it up today? We're also voting on a 3-year term, being promised expansion for the third time, and not having any data or anything on expansion.
Well, I can say that we began the RFP process, or, you know, the process with our Office of the City Attorney immediately after the World Games. And so from that time period to now, that's just kind of how it's a very lengthy process to go through the legal requirements and to put the RFP out and all of that. And I wish it wasn't so lengthy, but it is.
And why wouldn't we have done it before the World Games? If that's the holdup. I guess we're not going to get an answer to that. But so, is there any way to extend this not for 3 years and continue service for our citizens?
Madam President.
Yes.
So, as we noticed before, each year is subject to funds being available and agreed upon by both parties. So that is the caveat that's in agreement that allows us to either extend it from the end of the year or cancel it after 1 year.
Can we do a short-term agreement until we've seen the expansion plan?
I think what Chief Mitchell was saying is that we do have the 3-year thing out there, but until we have funding dedicated to year 2, we wouldn't move forward. So we have year 1 of this contract funded, and then we will have to come back to you for year 2 to get the funding approved, and then that saves our team the trouble of having to put out another RFP and go through all the legal process. The state bid law that gives us a 3-year window where we don't have to go back through the RFP process and secure new company proposals.
Okay. I guess my thing is this, we've had conversations about the respect of the council. We had it when it came to funding of the World Games. We've had it ad nauseum, it feels like. And now we're being asked to either cut service to the residents that rely on it or expand it for 3 years at double the amount of funding, but have no update on the actual expansion itself, which has been promised multiple times. I don't know. Anyway, I'll withhold my other comments.
Madam.
Be polite.
Hold on, Councilor. Thank you. Councilor Woods.
So I mean, I'm hearing where Councilor Williams is coming from. The agreement term doesn't necessarily bother me as much because we can amend that. But my concern is literally like we talked about, I guess what was this, 4 or 5 months ago, expansion and putting money in the budget for that. And then now we're kind of like saying that doesn't even make sense. And so that's just kind of my thing is as soon as we can get more understanding on what the expansion plan is, just so we can know it's there. But yeah, I mean, kind of having a budget conversation, allocating funds, and then what feels like those funds being pointed in a little different direction than what we talked about. But I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, Councilor Woods. Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to note that there is an assignment provision in the contract that seemingly would allow for the contract to be assigned to BJCTA if at some point we wanted to allow them to administer this during the term of this contract. I just want to point that out because I think it's important in case we can leverage this more for more money from the Fed. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, councilors? I do just want to piggyback on what Councilor Clark said. I know living very close to District 8, I know it doesn't expand all the way into District 7, but a lot of residents do drive over or they get picked up at the Crossplex or 5 Points West. So there is some opportunity sometimes for people to get to that on-demand service. I also know that the majority of the households in the city of Birmingham are single parents, single women who often have to make a decision about work and transportation for themselves and for their children. And I know as being a parent of a grandparent of a household where they were having to use at times, what is it called? What do we use for transportation? Where not taxis, Uber. So what am I talking about? But your horse and buggy. But really thinking about how expensive Uber can be for some residents or for most families, and we have this opportunity to subsidize this. But I echo the sentiment of the council the respect there for ensuring that processes are followed. We keep saying we're a process-driven council. So just understand the thought process there is that we would move quicker and more deliberate speed and more project management of knowing when these contracts are up. And, you know, I follow you on that. We had to wait till the World Games to do this. I mean, I truly understand that. And so that's just what you're getting here from the council. I just want to say respectfully that there's just that pause, and we hate it when you back us up into a corner, or when we feel backed up into a corner, because we do not want to take any service that benefits our residents and feel backed up into having to make this decision. But I do want to say I've heard you say more than once that this is not a full 3 years. You've got some options here too, and Council Clark brought back out what was actually in the contract and what you all have said from the beginning. So we have options to get us out of this if we don't get the expansion, and we're going to be looking for that expansion. That's important, I think, to all 9 of us. I really do. Pro Tem, did you want to say something?
It's 2 ways for me, because if I vote no, then I'm cutting off for some of my residents, but at the same time, we have to make sure we have equal opportunity throughout the city, because we do have a transportation problem. I know we're trying to, improve the transportation system, but I've seen buses, I work downtown, and they're empty, y'all. Like, I'm talking about 6:30 when we want the buses to be filled. And Christina, this really isn't like about you. This is more like an internal, like, mayor and council thing. But I really want to know if we can get in writing somehow that we get this expansion plan if we pass this contract. Because, and I understand we have to take on your word, but I do feel for my colleagues on the east side, that's not fair for them. Especially when they do have major district entertainments. They have a lot of opportunities, a lot of restaurants and different things that will help a lot of people out. And I think, when we do pilot programs, a lot of time the pilot program turns into a regular program. I'm seeing a lot of time. It can't be a pilot program forever. So I don't know how that can be done legally, or we get an email or something, but I really want to see something right. We get an expansion program in 6 months. I know we talked about budget and finance. You're doing with the consultant some type of is that for transportation? Some type of surveying or something. So I know it's coming, but I just really want to make sure we have something, because that isn't fair for us that have been talking about expansion for a year. Really, it's been a year and a half during the pandemic, and nothing's happened. So
let me see if I can offer this. We have the opportunity, BJCTA, they want to become a part of this footprint. And so that would include some of the expansion that we feel will come. What's the time frame when we could have this information? We can put this on Committee of the Whole, the agenda. That would be the March agenda. You have to bring that information back to us. And whatever 6 months from now is. Within that time frame. Is that okay?
So, Madam President, members of the council, a few things. The staff is projecting, again, around October. I think that's what Ms. Christina noted. We apologize on behalf of the administration for any lack of alignment and process that the council expects, and we will certainly respect your decision on today.
Thank you. So, still though, what time frame you say you think you'll have the expansion information by October? Oh.
That's what she was projecting earlier. The data needed to show you the recommendation for expansion is projected around October.
So, councilors, would you be willing then we could be sure that we have that on at least our November Committee of the Whole? The October meeting is the 4th, it would be the 4th Wednesday in October.
Well, I kind of want it in writing, and this has nothing to do with chiefs. I hate Mayor Wolfen isn't out here for this, but we've had a couple of things come to us where it's at the last minute, and this really has got to stop. Like, y'all giving us stuff at the last minute. Like, that's not fair, because if it was the other way around, we would be told no. So I really want to make sure this is like on the committee meeting for October and November.
Well, let me find out procedurally if we get this in writing, we're changing the item itself. So I need some guidance on what we're asking for as far as what's presented to us today and getting that agreement.
So as far as today, what has been presented is if you all don't vote, the services will lapse today. And so there is several clauses in the termination agreement. In 5.2, there's a termination for convenience. And so there are many options that you all have. And as Ms. Argo has stated, she is planning to provide that to you all by October.
So for the record, we are asking that for our October Committee of the Whole, that information is presented to us as far as what those expansion plans would be. Could I get agreement with everyone for that?
You can get it through, but I'm not going to vote today on something that's been promised for over a year, and now
yes,
I vote for the funding today, then maybe we'll figure it out tomorrow.
I understand that. I truly do.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, councilors. We're ready for the vote.
The vote has started.
My iPad is down, but I'm a no.
All right, thank you. Item 35 passes. Thank you very much. Next item.
The next item is item number 51. It's on page 33. A resolution setting a public hearing October 25th, 2022 to consider the adoption of an ordinance to amend the zoning district map of the city of Birmingham, case number ZAC 2022-00005, to change zone district boundaries from QD5 qualified multiple dwelling district to QC2 qualified general commercial district, filed by C. Randall Minor with Maynard Cooper and Gale on behalf of the owner, Crown at Cahaba Associates Limited Partnership, for property located at 5050 Cahaba River Road, situated in the northwest quarter of Section 35, Township 18 South, Range 2 West, Birmingham.
Second. All right, councilors, we're just voting here to set a public hearing on October 25th to consider an option for an ordinance for rezoning or to amend the zoning district map. All right, we're ready for the vote.
The vote is started. Councilor Williams
All right.
is out.
Thank you. That item passes. We've set that hearing for October 25th. Next item.
The next item is item number 52 on page 34. A resolution setting a public hearing October 25th, 2022 to consider the adoption of an ordinance to amend the zoning district map of the city of Birmingham, case number ZAC 2022-00009, to change zone district boundaries from MUD mixed use downtown district to D4 medium density residential district, filed by Becky Carpenter with Corporate Realty Development on behalf of the owner, Northside Redevelopment LLC, for property located at 1710 26th Street North, situated in the southwest quarter of Section 24, Township 17 South, Range 3 West, Birmingham.
Second.
All right, councilors, this is a resolution where we'll be setting a public hearing on October 25th, again to consider the adoption of an ordinance to amend our zoning district map. Any questions? We're ready for the vote.
The vote is started.
All right. Thank you, councilors. That item does pass, and we've set that hearing for October 25th. Councilors, under old and new business, will have this opportunity to entertain your comments from each of your districts. I'll ask Councilor Pro Tem if you'll take over this part. Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Woods, you ready? You say you're using a video. You don't have any? Okay, but Councilor, well, let's switch over here. Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Madam Pro Tem. Well, we have some neighborhood meetings this week in District 8. Well, at least one. We've got the Bush Hills neighborhood meeting today at 6:30 via Zoom. You can go to www.bushhills.org to register and get the Zoom link. I want to I want to give a shout out to the Crab Barracks, who had their grand opening at the Crossplex this past Saturday with a Crossplex Village block party, where we had lots of vendors and some food trucks. It was really hot out there too, even though it started off as a cool morning. But the US 11 commercial corridor on the west side is very important to the vitality of the city, and we're proud to have this continued growth. Also, congratulations to Max on the long-awaited bus rapid transit opening. And I just want to remind citizens that now is the time to not drive in the bus-only lanes. And then Park and Rec's family movie nights are still going through October 13th. And this initiative is known as Parks After Dark. So you can visit a park. Parks After Dark visits a park each week with games, prizes, and a movie. And the start time is 6 p.m. and it's free fun for all ages. So the public is invited to join this Thursday, as Parks After Dark will be at the North Birmingham Rec Center. So please come out and support this event with your families. Also, the 16th annual Antiques at the Gardens is coming up. It's 4 days, 12 speakers, 22 dealers, 150 volunteers, all for one cause. And this is, and that cause is to support the Birmingham Botanical Gardens. And you can follow this event on Facebook and Instagram for different reveals and announcements about this event at Antiques Gardens Birmingham. And then we're close to October, so in addition to October being the month that we really emphasize breast cancer awareness, it's also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And there are people and resources available to help anyone who finds themselves financially, emotionally, sexually, or physically abused in any sort of relationship. There is a place to go online, www.acadv.org, to learn more about prevention and outreach tools from the Alabama Coalition Against Domestic Violence. So I'm just announcing that ahead of time so we can think about how we want to emphasize that, because I know a lot of the violence that we see is related to domestic violence. So just a reminder. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Clark. Councilor Moore?
Yes, thank you, Madam Pro Tem. Really quickly, so we have neighborhood elections that are coming up October 18th of this year, and so want to make sure that people know about that and that they go out, participate, go vote. I have 8 neighborhoods that actually have some vacancies, so for different positions in the neighborhood association. So Airport Highlands has a vacancy in their vice president position. No one's running. Collegeville has a vacancy in the secretary position. East Birmingham actually has absolutely no one that is running in the election. Fairmont has a vacancy in the secretary position. Harriman Park has a vacancy in the secretary. Kingston has a vacancy in the presidential position. Norwood has a vacancy in the secretary position. And then Roebuck has a vacancy in the vice president's position. So just want to encourage you, if you live in District 4 in either one of these neighborhoods, please make sure that you, if you have an interest, go in, put your name in the ballot. Put your name in the ballot. Yes, it's a write-in. It's an opportunity to write your name in. And so outside of that, this weekend was a weekend of legacy. Got a chance to celebrate my pastor and his not first lady, but only lady. And she's very specific to say that. Pastor Michael Moore and Kenitha Moore, they celebrated 40 years plus of service at Faith Chapel Christian Center. And so I just want to say congratulations to them. Thank you for all the work that they've done, not only in, the church, but just the amount of people that they've been able to be a blessing to. You thought right? It was a really nice celebration, And then also got an opportunity to go over to the Foch Manor, Foch Metropolitan Manor, to celebrate 40 years of service for them as well. Feel ashamed to say it, but I did not know much about Erskine Foch Sr. Until, actually having to be a part of this celebration and learn a lot about him and the legacy that he left behind. Very dynamic man, and he did a lot for this city. And so I was definitely glad to be a part of that celebration and, just congratulate them on the work that they're doing in the area of housing. And so the last thing that I have is October 9th, 2022, Woodlawn United is doing their Sunday dinner, Woodlawn Sunday dinner from 2 to 5 p.m. At 55th Place South, Birmingham, Alabama, 35212. If you have not been to the Woodlawn Sunday dinner before, it is an amazing, oh man, you gotta come. Got some good food, some good music, and just a great opportunity to connect with people. And so just want to encourage everybody to get you a ticket, get you a spot. So yeah, that's all I got. Thank you.
I thought you were going to buy a ticket. That's okay.
You said what now?
Nothing.
I thought, okay, gotcha. Thank you.
I thought you were handing out
Thank you,
tickets to-
Councilman Moore. Councilor Abbott.
Thank you. The next Planning and Zoning Committee meeting is scheduled for tomorrow. Our last meeting was canceled due to lack of members, so we want to make sure that we have our meeting this time so we don't get backed up. The meeting is at 3:30, September 28th, here in the council chambers. Neighborhood Association meetings we have at 5 o'clock this afternoon. Redmont Park is meeting at the Associated Builders and Contractors offices at 1808 28th Avenue South in Homewood. That is simply because Antiques at the Gardens is using the gardens, and that's where they normally meet. So they're meeting at the president's office so that they can actually have a meeting. Next Monday, Glen Iris will meet at 6:30. Glen Iris has gone back to hybrid meetings. They're having an in-person meeting for people who feel safe meeting in person. That's at St. Elias Maronite Catholic Church, where they've been meeting as long as I've been conscious. But they're also having Zoom meetings for people who can't get out or don't want to get out or whatever their issues are. So I think that's the most excellent way to do it for neighborhoods that can accomplish it, because you get better participation when you allow people to stay home if they need to stay home. And when the winter months come, some people don't want to drive at night, especially if they live alone. So I thought that this was excellent. So, and then also this Thursday, Movies at Avondale Park is going on. I think it's The Goonies, but I may be a week late. Yes. Just go and have fun, because after all, it's a movie and it's free. And you can take your whole family and have a good time. And they're even doing yoga, which I have not seen how they do yoga, like if everybody stands up in the amphitheater. Have you been? It's before. Well, I know it's before the movie, but I don't think they're doing yoga during the movie. But, an amphitheater makes it kind of hard. So anyway, but I haven't seen it yet. We're asking residents of District 3 to visit our website if they want more information about what's going on. And that's www.bhamdistrict3.com. Thank you very much, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Abbott. Councilor Quinn.
He can tell us the right movie.
Yes, Goonies was last week. I can't remember the one that's this Thursday.
Well, good. You're just as good as me. It's some movie.
Okay, so tonight we have two neighborhood association meetings. Fountain Heights Neighborhood Association will meet at 6 p.m. at the Fountain Heights Rec Center. And then also at Crestwood North Neighborhood Association is meeting at 6:30 at Girls Inc. Chief Sparks, I know you're aware that we have had at least a couple of incidents of white supremacist stuff popping up on roadsides and stuff, and I just wanted to bring to your attention that there's one currently on Cahaba River Road.
It's been removed.
It's been removed. Awesome. Great to hear. Thank you. I appreciate you guys being on top of that. Thank you. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Councilor Quinn. Councilor Tate.
Thank you, Madam Pro Tem. Dolomite neighborhood will meet tonight, 6 p.m. Via conference call. The dialing number is 602-580-9525. The access code is 3789426. Central Pratt neighborhood will be meeting on Monday, October the 3rd, 6 p.m. That's by conference call. Also, the dial-in number is 720-740-9732. The access code is 348808. Sherman Heights neighborhood will meet on Monday, October the 3rd. And that's by conference call. The dial-in number is 952-206-4918. Access code is 223418. The next public safety meeting will be on today at 1 p.m. The next public safety meeting will also be on Tuesday, October the 11th. You can submit your agenda items to Brandon McRae no later than Thursday, October the 6th at 1 p.m. We also have some upcoming events, so after y'all get through with Sunday dinner over in District 4 with Mr. Moore, come on out to Legion Field for the Safe Summer Series concert featuring Life Jennings and Young Vocal, and that begins at 5 p.m. And also the Antioch Missionary Baptist Church with Senior Pastor Dr. Q.E. Hammonds is doing a COVID clinic October the 15th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's 1220 Hattie Street, Birmingham, Alabama 35214. So they offer the first, the second, and pediatric dose, and booster shots are available. So some of their partners are MedPlus Consulting, LLC, and Connection Health Community Partners. All right, y'all, pull out them skates. Miss Councilor Clark, come skate with Councilor Tate, October the 16th. At the Boutware from 7 p.m. to 12 a.m. So y'all come on skate with Bad Boy DJ Butch on the ones and twos, and they will have skates there for rental as well. So this is going to be a real skating rink. And also I want to thank Councilor Pro Tem Smitherman and Councilor Woods last night, and Councilor Clark for attending District 9 First State of the District meeting. It was a great meeting. A lot of information were given out to the residents, and they were super excited. But we're gearing up for the next State of the District, which is going to be October the 20th, and that's going to be at McHale Pine Rec Center, 1115 Avenue F, and that's the western quadrant of the district. And we're going to be talking peace, healing, and public safety sneakers array on October the 22nd from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Birmingham Crossplex. So put your best sneaks on and come on. Let's talk peace, healing, and public safety as well. Thank y'all. That's it.
Thank you, Councilor Tate. I like that. I like the last one. So as far as my announcements, before I give it back to Madam Pro Tem, so at Railroad Park Picnic, they're having their annual event, Protective Presents Picnic at Railroad Park. This is a free event. It's from 12 to 5. They will have food trucks there, entertainment. I think Chris Coleman, I forgot the other person is going to be hosting. It's going to be really, really good. So I know each councilor and Mayor Woodford got an invite. So hopefully I'll see y'all there on Sunday. The next Budget and Finance meeting is October 10th at 3:30 p.m. in the chambers. Submissions are due Wednesday, October 5th at noon. The next PIC meeting is on Tuesday, October 4th at 11:30 a.m. Submissions are due tomorrow at noon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Pro Tem. I do want to congratulate Councilor Tate. From the pictures and the posts I saw, it looked like it was a very well-attended meeting, and I've heard from your colleagues that they thought the resources and everything you brought to the residents was very good. So thank you for that. I did want to ask the Joint Chiefs. I know in the past we used to have a mayor town hall that was taken to each district. I know we haven't done that since COVID. We may have done one. Well, I guess we've been doing them on video, but just wanted to ask if later there'll be any of those that will be happening again.
The mayor hasn't said that there are, Madam President. You're right. He has done the video town halls, but we'll follow up with him and let him know that you've inquired about them.
Thank you very much. Here are the announcements for District 7. Just for counselors today, the administration committee meeting will be held in the council chambers at 2 p.m. Wednesday, September 28th, there's a bulk trash and brush pickup scheduled for West Goldwire and Garden Highlands neighborhoods. On Thursday, September 29th, there's bulk trash and brush pickup scheduled for the Powderly neighborhood. On Friday, September 30th, there's bulk trash and brush pickup scheduled for the Green Acres neighborhood. So for anyone living in those particular neighborhoods, please be mindful and set your items out. They like to ask you to set them out at least by 6:30 a.m. or the night before. On Friday, the Winona Dragons, they're 3-1. They will face the Ramsey Rams, who are 4-2, and that game will be played at 7 p.m. at the Bell Culpeper Stadium. On Monday, October 3rd, the Grisilla Heights neighborhood will meet in person at the Mirador Center at 3 p.m. If you need to report a missed pickup, please call 311 by dialing 205-254-6312, or you can call the D7 hotline, which is open 24/7 at 205-304-1797. Also, you can use those numbers to report any illegal dumping. Registration does continue for the Youth Build program that's going to be held at Cornerstone Revitalization Foundation. They're offering pathways to a brighter future. And please go to the D7 page if you want to look at that flyer and see if that would meet needs that you may have. Also, there's the Heart of Birmingham, and this continues to be a program where there's assistance by for forgivable loans for small businesses. You can go to the D7 page to look at that as well. I also had the opportunity to be present and actually presented a proclamation on behalf of the mayor for the 19th anniversary of my pastor, Pastor Johnny King and Mrs. Elaine King at Trinity Baptist Church. So I do just want to congratulate Reverend and Mrs. King on 19 years of service to Trinity and to the community. Following the meeting today, we will have a video that just gives you gives you a visual of our chat and chew that we had, quarterly chat and chew we had a few days ago, last Friday, I believe it was. And so we'll play that at the end of this meeting. Any other items, counselors? All right. Well, at this time, we want to thank our officers on duty, Cedric Pinkert and Ken Morris. We appreciate their service for us today. So at this time, and I want to thank the members of administration, and thank you, Ms. Clerk. Very good job, Madam Clerk. Thank you. Oh, go ahead. It's your district. I'll let you do it. Well, you know more about it. Well, I do. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. We did, Councilor Clark and I, along with Mayor Woodfin and we had our Southwest precinct captain there with our police liaison, and the Pearl Center opened in Councilor Carol Clark's district. This is a new facility that has been built by Omicron Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. The building will be managed by the nonprofit arm of the organization, which is the Cultural and Education Advancement Foundation. Alpha Kappa Alpha Omicron Omega chapter, this is actually the third building that has been built to represent members of our chapter. There are cultural education programs that will be presented. We're just excited to be a part of the District 8 community, and just thankful to be a part of that district. Council Clark, you were there as well. So
glad to have you all. It's beautiful.
Thank you. We're very proud of that. I guess I'll just say first and finest, and we'll keep it going. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Someone might object to that.
That's right.
I love to have this one.
We love each other. But Attorney King was there with us as well. So very good. Thank you all so much. All right. Thank you. At this time, then, we will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned. Hi, we're here today in at the Birmingham Museum of Art. We're entertaining the District 7 leadership team. We have our presidents, our vice president, and secretary of each of our 17 District 7 neighborhood associations. We're here today to give them some resources that we think are vital to them to have community engagement and keep our neighborhoods a great place to live, work, and play.
You know, street resurfacing requests, it tells the address, the status that is currently open.
So we have representatives from the community resource team, and they'll be talking about different options that each of our neighborhoods can take again to make our neighborhoods safe and clean.
I serve in the capacity of community resource representative.
We're always about solution. We're solution oriented here in District 7. We don't just talk about the problems, we talk about solutions. So today we'll also go through an exercise to talk about some of the issues that are going on in each of the neighborhoods and how we can find viable solutions, sustainable solutions to make D7 a great place to live. As you know, we've just completed the redistricting process based on the 2020 census. I love our quarterly chat and choose. It gives us an opportunity to get up close and personal with our District 7 leadership. Quite often we go right into the neighborhood meetings. We don't have a time just to fellowship and to converse with our neighborhood leadership. This gets all of the D7 leaders together. Sometimes you may have a solution that can help out another neighborhood. So again, it gives us the time to talk, to collaborate, and make D7 a great place.
And for more from the Birmingham City Council, follow along with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Stay safe, Birmingham.
Good morning, everyone. This is Councilor Moore, and these are your D4 announcements. So, first things first, we have some neighborhood association meetings that are taking place on Monday, October the 3rd. We have Maple Grove, Collegeville, along with Brummett Heights and Zion City. Make sure you go to the Birmingham City Council website, go find District 4's page, scroll down, and you'll be able to see all the details concerning those different neighborhood associations. So last week, I had the opportunity to go to Smith Middle School because they were recipients of the Verizon Innovative Learning Lab. It's a great opportunity for the students to be exposed to STEM, critical thinking, robotics, all kinds of great things, and they also got an opportunity to walk away with an iPad. So parents were able to sign an iPad out for students to take home to their houses with them. So extremely appreciative of it. Just want to say thank you to Verizon and a big shout out to the leadership at Smith Middle School. Also, I am super excited because the BX is finally here. So we have the Birmingham Rapid Transit that is here in the city of Birmingham. It's an amazing opportunity. Listen, I want everybody to take advantage of, this great opportunity that we have along our First Avenue North corridor from Woodlawn all the way over to 5 Points West. People have an opportunity to jump on the Birmingham Express and, enjoy these first 30 days for free. So make sure you check it out. It's a great opportunity, and I'm excited. I'm gonna get on it. So you should too. And lastly, I just want to give a huge shout out to Foch Metro Manor, who is celebrating their 40th year of being in business. They have been a great partner, provided great services to the community, and I just want to celebrate them. So thank you, Foch Metro Manor, for the work that you do and all the services that you've been able to provide to our community. We appreciate you and we love you. Thank you. That's all I have. Those are the announcements. Hopefully everybody has a great day. I know I had me a guest in the back. So yeah, hopefully y'all have a good one.
Out at Fairview Park with Milo's Tea and neighborhood residents.
President Trone and Mr. Dwight Hampton. We're cleaning up as part of our Be Litter Free campaign in District 8. We're just delighted to have so much good support from the corporate community, from our residents, and our team at the City Council office in District 8.
So at Milo's, giving back is one of our core values, and it is very important to us to have opportunities for fellowship to give back. And so we try to identify activities in the community where we can come together and, away from work and do something to make a positive impact for our community.
We are going to walk through the neighborhood, through the alleyways, through the corridors, to the front streets, to the face of it down on Warrior Road, and we're going to make an attempt just to get up all the debris and the litter and combine the waste and get it out of the way.
It's just nice to see how thankful the residents are when we're out, helping them along and maybe inspiring them, hopefully inspiring them to keep it going.
Something that we're very proud of. We're one of only 2 companies in the state of Alabama that's certified as a zero waste manufacturer. And so through that, we want to clean up the watersheds and the areas where we live and work. And that is here in Birmingham, Alabama.
We're glad to team up with our counselor. Her and her staff has been extremely wonderful and just making sure that everything is organized, structured. We have the proper equipment that we need. We have the necessary bags, and that everyone is safe from the vest to the pickers. So it's been great. It's been wonderful. And we're just assisting, trying to help Public Works make Birmingham a better place.
There's a lot of frustration about the litter and the illegal dumping. And so I think just the little nudge to kind of take action and it empowers you, because you don't have to wait for the city. I mean, the city's going to help and do its part, but a lot of, we're not going to be there every day. So I think just the nudge, the community spirit that it creates when we're out in community and we get to know each other and, partner with neighborhoods.
And for more from the Birmingham City Council, follow along with us